Are we live? Oh, yeah, we are live. Hey, 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 welcome everybody. Come on in. Let me turn the volume up. Come on in, come on in. Welcome, welcome to the Lunchtime Contractors Chat. I am Felicia Streeter over at FeliciaStreeter.com, where we are all things government contracting. So come on in, come on in. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're joining us from today. And if you want to share what you're offering to the government or what you're thinking about offering to the government, go ahead and share that in the comments. Let us know. Come on in, come on in. I have my, I'm prepared today. My notes are already up. So come on in, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're joining from, who you are. We have an interesting topic today talking about getting paid, money. How do you get paid from your project? So we want to talk about that. And again, I want to have a conversation with you, a chat. Okay, I don't want to be the only one talking. That's why we have the chat section over here so that you can definitely ask your questions on the topic as well as share on the topics. And the great thing about our chat section is that a lot of people be over there networking. I see you guys networking, and that's cool too. That's what this community is for, to educate you, but also allow you guys to connect in the chat, because you just never know where that next opportunity may come from. So I encourage that as well. So come on in, introduce yourself, who you are, where you're joining from. Let us know. All right. We have Stephanie in the house. Good morning. Nope, it's afternoon. Good afternoon, Stephanie from Houston. Stephanie's in the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, and she is rocking it. We have Tanisha in the bootcamp. Yep, transportation. And I believe, I can't remember if you're bidding a contract or not. I'm having a brain freeze right now, but Tanisha's in the bootcamp as well. She's rocking it out as well. Come on in, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from. We're going to talk about getting paid today. How do you get paid from your contracts? And I wanted to have a conversation on this today because I get asked this question all the time. So I want to share some information on the topic and then open it up for Q&A. And then if you have any specific questions on getting paid, maybe you're in a current situation around getting paid and you have a question on that, definitely you can ask it when we open it up for Q&A. Hello, Rose Wilson. How are you? Randolph. Awesome. In Dallas. Hey. I believe Rose is in the boot camp as well. Welcome. Come on in. Gary Dancer Jr. Hello from Memphis, Tennessee. You're new to the channel. Well, welcome. Glad to have you join us. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get notified when we go live and when I drop those new videos. Okay. All free content right here for you on the channel. So make sure you subscribe and get in. So you want a contract for your box truck. Awesome. Okay. Angela's in the house. Hey, Angela from what is that? Campbell, South Carolina. Welcome. Angela's in the boot camp. Welcome. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today's topic is about how you are paid as a subcontractor. Again, as you're joining, definitely, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from. And then if you have any questions around getting paid, definitely, jot them down. And then when I open it up for Q&A, you can pop them in there because it's going to scroll, because I know you guys be networking over in the chat. So that's cool. All right. So let's talk about getting paid. And I just have a few things I want to share with you on this as it relates to people always asking me, how do I get paid and when do I get paid? And I did a previous video on the ways that the government would pay you, as well as if you were sitting in a subcontractor position, so that you know what you need to have set up. So if you didn't see that video, definitely go back and check it out. All right. So the process of this, if you think about it, you're going to submit a bid on an opportunity, whether it's a straight up bid or a proposal. But what's in there that help facilitate what you're going to be paid is your pricing. Okay. Now, this happens in a couple of ways. Sometimes, especially for a lot of you guys that's just starting out, and hey, Marcus, I see you joined us. Welcome from Kansas City. But when you join, begin government contracting, you're just getting started, right? And, you're trying to build up your past performance. What usually happens is a lot of times whether you approach the prime or they approach you, they're going to say, here's the opportunity. I'm holding out my hand. Let me show you. So you can see. Here's the opportunity, right? The paper, or whether they send it via email. And a lot of times in there, they will say, here's what we can pay for this. So you don't have to actually bid a number. They're telling you what the number is. So for example, so you have the box truck and you're going to, move some stuff for a prime contractor. Instead of you having to put your pricing together and everything like that, they may just say, hey, here's this opportunity. And we have, for round numbers, is paying $500. Can you do it for that? And you have the opportunity to say yes or no. Now, let me tell you something. When they're presenting it to you like that, you do need to know if you can do it for that amount. So here's what I'm telling you. You can't take their number at face value. You still need to know how to bid out the opportunity yourself. And so in doing that, you also want to make sure that you're profitable as well. So even though they may tell you how much it's paying, you still need to run your numbers. Okay. And we've talked about that in the last couple of weeks. I think the Thursday videos, we've been talking about pricing and things like that. So you can check those out. See why you need to get notified when new videos drop, right? But in there, it tells you about what you need to include in your pricing to make sure you're profitable. So what I discussed in the previous video, you would take that, right? Do your own pricing and then match it up against what they're offering to help you determine if it's something you want to do, right? The other option is you would just have to bid it straight out, right? And come up with your own numbers and submit. So where we're at, once the pricing of what we know is going to be, whether you bid it yourself or they tell you, you submit your opportunity, right, on it. Here's my bid. Here's my proposal. Here's my pricing. After that, you have to perform the work, whether you're doing a service or you're delivering a product, right? You have to deliver on what you promised. Once you do that, now it's time to get paid. So how do we get paid, right? And one of the things to get paid is you have to have done the work and done it right, okay? Or they're not going to pay you. But if you've done that, okay, great. So what happens is a lot of times you may have to invoice them. That's usually the standard way of getting paid. It's not like you just do the service and they give you the money. Most companies, if they're a reputable company and they have all their stuff set up, for the paper trail, they need you to invoice them, okay? So you complete the work, you invoice them. Once you invoice them, the standard is usually net 30 days in most cases. Now, every situation is different, but generally it's net 30 days. Now, sometimes you can get paid upon award, meaning when they say, okay, the contract has been awarded and they pay you. I haven't seen that happen a lot in the private sector, but sometimes it does happen in the government sector, okay? Now, if you're working with smaller primes, you may have to wait 45 to 60 days to get paid from the point of your invoice. Now, let me break that down to you a little bit so that you can understand how it all comes about. So one of the things is, in general, 30 days is the standard. You can get net 14 days, but a lot of times you have to ask for it. It's not the standard, right? And I always say you have not because you ask not. So you have to get in a place and space where you're asking for what you want in these opportunities, okay? Because if you don't ask, you won't get it, okay? And then more so than not, a lot of times private sector, you may be looking at 45 to 60 days from the time of invoice to get paid. And even sometimes on government opportunities. But here's what I tell you guys, and I keep looking at the chat like I'm looking at your faces, but I'm talking to you. But here's the thing. You need to ask for what you want, okay? Nothing is etched in stone before you sign the contract agreement, right? So even if they say the standard is they're going to pay net 30 days, net 60 days, or whatever it is, if you need something sooner, you need to ask for it. Not to say they're going to give it to you, but if you don't ask, you never know, okay? Because if it's going to be, whether it's net 14 days from invoice, 30 days, 45 or 60, you also need to be able to float the project until it can float itself, right? And so you need to be mindful of that. So that's one scenario, right, of how you would get paid. And this scenario that I just gave you is basically under the pretense that whatever you're doing, it does not take you long to do it. So it's like less than 30 days. Whether you're providing a service, you're going to get it done within the 30-day period, or whether you are providing a product or something like that, you're going to get it to them within the 30-day window of being awarded the contract. Okay. Now, if you are doing something that takes longer than 30 days, maybe it's an ongoing opportunity, right? Where let's just say it takes you 6 months. So if it's 6 months, you're going to invoice every 30 days. And then if it's net 14 days or net 30 days, every month from the point of invoice, you will get paid net however many days that they told you. The important thing, especially with progress payments, because that's what that is, you want to make sure you're invoicing consistently at the same time so that your cash flow is coming in consistently the same time every month. Okay. Because remember, no payments are going to happen without the transference of the invoice. You provide the service, you provide the invoice, and then they pay you as long as you delivered on what you promised. Okay. Now, a lot of times you may hear people talk about back charges, right? And so what happens when you're back charged generally is that whoever the prime is, whether it's the government and you're with them directly, or you're working with a prime contractor, they're saying if they back charge you, that's something within the contract you did not do. And a lot of times, if they have to back charge you, means that they've given you the opportunity to correct it or deliver on your promise and you could not, and they've had to go out and get another company to fulfill that portion of what you did not. And so keep in mind, they're not going to pay you, right, if you didn't deliver that piece. So they're going to back charge you, meaning they're going to take it out of your contract amount. So if they said they were going to pay you $10,000 and that portion they need to back charge you for costs $4,000, then you're only going to get $6,000, right? Now, the other piece of that is on a lot of contracts, you also have to understand, especially when you're a subcontractor, they will also hold a percentage of your money until the end of the project, to where the portion that you performed, the customer or owner has signed off on it and said, yes, it's done to their liking. Okay. So a lot of times it's around 10% that they'll hold, and then you won't get that until the final inspection is done on the piece of work that you performed, and they have signed off and said it's good to go. Okay. So keep that in mind, and you need to know that as you're working your numbers and you're planning in your business, right? You can get paid after completion, but again, there's a net so many days attached to that. Or you could be getting progress payments where you're getting paid every month based on the amount of work that you performed prior to that invoice date. Okay, so they're paying you monthly, and you can calculate it, the progress payments based off of percentages as to how much you've done, what they would pay you, and how much you have left, right? And then again, once you're done, they may hold 10% until the owner customer has signed off on your work to say it's done. Because what they don't want to do is pay you, and then the owner comes back and says, hey, that part, did you see that? They need to redo that. And then they have to have you come back out and get that done, but they've already paid you. And let me just tell you, be transparent, being a GC, that once we pay subcontractors a lot of time, and if you pay them all their money, it's hard to get them to come back out and fix their mistakes. And so that's why they hold 10%. Okay. So I hope that was very, very clear for you guys. We're going to open up the chat and I'll answer some questions. But again, here's the thing. Getting paid. How do you get paid? When do you get paid? Remember, I did a separate video on how you will be paid, whether you're sitting in the prime position or a subcontractor. So you can go back and watch that video. And then here we talked about when you're getting paid, like how long does it take and what does that entail? But remember, you have not because you ask not. So, you know, in your bid, in conversation, you can tell people, hey, you know, we need net 14 days. We can't float the project for 45 days or 60 days or whatever, you know, they're trying to initiate, right? So ask, you know, if you need that, okay? So if you have any questions on getting paid, if you're in a current situation and trying to get paid, we can talk about that as well. Anything around getting paid, go ahead and pop it in the comments. Let me see, who did I miss here? We have Marcus Williams here. Hey, welcome from Kansas City. I think I said that. Essential Everyday, C-Star. We don't know your name, but hello. Thank you for joining us. You're in Georgia. Awesome. We have Michael Johnson. I remember you. Oh, wait a minute, that's Stephanie. Her things changed. Okay, great. So Stephanie, question is, does anyone have experience in disaster recovery? So it sounds like Stephanie has a contracting opportunity if you do disaster recovery. So if you do, make sure you comment here in the chat and let her know that you do, or I do know. You can find Stephanie over on LinkedIn. So you can definitely DM her over there as well if you do disaster recovery or disaster recovery / management. Okay. Okay, let's see. Any other questions for me? So Angela asks, will the solicitation indicate how payment will be handled? When do you find out the process of payment they plan to provide? So a lot of times it may be outlined in the solicitation, but even still, what I like to do, and you know, it's the verbiage and knowing the FAR and things like that. But, you know, I always ask for net 14 days, especially when we're doing larger projects, and because the ramp up is so expensive to mobilize. And so, yeah, we ask for net 14 days, and we'll usually ask as well as, once we mobilize, can we invoice immediately to get our mobilization costs back? So, yeah, it's definitely, you know, you'll look at the solicitation, see what it says, but that's where the writing in the proposal also comes into play, which we cover that in the boot camp. We're getting to it next week, proposals. Yeah. Scrolling. Marcus asks, oh, he said, are you open for questions? Yes, go ahead and pop your questions in. We have Brian Holmes. I believe I remember you, U.S. Veteran Security. Welcome. And Michael, I don't know, who are you saying to contact you, or Stephanie? Are you giving your number out to everybody, Stephanie? Let me know. And Angela says, oh, I think that's a question. Do ask for net 14 days in proposal. At what point do you ask? Okay, I think I covered that, right? In the proposal. And it's definitely something you'll always be talking about. And then depending on the type of work you do, you may also have a kickoff meeting. And so we always reiterate that in the kickoff meeting. And we'll be like, hey, you know, kickoff meeting, we're finna go to work. Hey, you know, can we go ahead and invoice guys for mobilization? They have the money. And they'll usually say yes. Okay, that was for Stephanie. Okay. So I went ahead and showed Stephanie phone number for anyone if you know anything about disaster recovery management and you would like a contracting opportunity. Okay, so right here, you see how this stuff happens in the chat? That's why you guys gotta come to these live. They're over here networking and sharing contracting opportunities. All right, so any other questions? We're gonna wrap it up. If we have none, any questions on getting paid? And I guess my question is, because we only had a couple questions on getting paid, So my question is, are you to the point of even bidding contracts, winning contracts to where you would get paid? Let me know where you're at in the process in the comments, because it'll help me in, creating content for these lives that can help you where you're at. Okay. So let me know where you're at in the process. Government contracting. Have you bid a contract before? Or are you still getting everything set up? Or have you won a contract before? Have you been paid on an opportunity already? Let us know where you're at in the process. Okay, I answered that. Hey, Tanya, first time here. Welcome, welcome. Marcus says, are you going to do another live chat on how to acquire HubZone contracts? So let me tell you something, Marcus. And Marcus is referencing certifications. People think everything is separate and different. You market your business how you market your business, right? It's not that it's about the HubZone per se. The HubZone certification represents an opportunity when that opportunity presents itself. And so that's a lot of strategy around that. And there's a lot of variables. But I mean, the gist of acquiring a HubZone contract is finding one that's set aside as a HubZone and bidding and winning it, right? That's the gist of it, whether it's a HubZone, a woman-owned, a service-disabled veteran-owned, okay? How do you get to the point of finding it is where a lot of people fall off, and that's a lot of steps involved in that. And just to be transparent, that's something we do teach in my Contractors Edge Bootcamp, okay? Okay, yes. All right, Angela's looking for some contracting opportunities and bidding. Yep, because we're going to talk about solicitations today. Awesome. Ryan, welcome. Still getting set up. All right, awesome. So you should be doing your SAM registration, getting those certifications in place. We can definitely help you with that inside the bootcamp as well. Michael has not bid a contract, but was on a subcontract. Awesome. Good for you. So, that's Stephanie. I keep saying Michael. Stephanie, we know you had contracts. Good girl. We know you're working it. So Brian says, I'm ready to get started on how to responding to RFPs. When is your next class? So Brian, you can definitely join today and get started today, literally. Once you sign up, you put in your password and you have access to all the training modules. And then the next live sessions are starting in July. But if you're like Stephanie, who's labeled as Michael Johnson right here, before we started the live sessions, she had 18 leads just by going through the course material. So you don't have to wait. And as she said, she's bidding and all of that. So we haven't even gotten to that yet. And she's already doing it through the course material. So definitely you can get started today. I'll put the link down here too. You can get started today and you can go to module 3 and learn how to respond to the RFPs right there. And if you want to join, anybody want to check it out, it's FeliciaStreeter.com/bootcamp. Or you can just go to the website, FeliciaStreeter.com. In the navigation, it's there for you as well. And it's going to be down in the description of this video. Okay. And Stephanie's saying, make sure you get a signed contract. That is true. And we definitely talk about that. Everything you get in writing, you guys know that, right? Nothing verbal in writing. It's only solid if it's in writing, right? Even if it's with your best friend. So, any final questions before we wrap up? Here's the link to the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. And just so you guys know, the objective of the bootcamp is to make sure and support you in getting your first bid done. All right, with support. So like Brian asked about the RFPs, yes, that's module 3, and we cover that. That is the goal, and you have to get through the RFP to get to the proposal and submit. That's the goal of the bootcamp. All right, any other questions as we wrap this up? I don't see anything here on the live chat. I definitely appreciate you guys taking time out of your lunchtime to come join us for the lunchtime chat. And again, we'll be back here next Tuesday, same time, same place, same channel, 12:30 for another chat. Definitely, even after this, if you want to put in the comments some topics of interest to you, I'm always sourcing for topics so that I can bring you guys content and information that you want and need that will help you grow your business based on where you're at. I know what you need, but when I don't know where you're at in the process, sometimes I can't guide you to the next step because I don't know what step you're at. I do know all the steps, right? So I do know that. I just don't know where you're at to better guide you as an individual and with your company as to what's next for you. Because what I tell Stephanie may be different than what I tell Ryan or Brian, right? Just depending on where they're at in the process. Okay. Remember, in doing this, everybody's at their own pace. You're at your own step based on where you're at. So it's not about, oh, Stephanie did this. Well, Stephanie started before you, right? So theoretically, she should always be ahead of you as long as she's at the top of her game, right? And you start where you're at and create your own pace. Okay. So don't compare yourself. All right. So if you're interested in the boot camp, definitely, go ahead and check it out. The course materials, they're waiting on you. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and end our session for today. Again, thank you for joining us and have an awesome rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll see you right back here real soon. Bye for now.